Ever wonder why your business isn't taking off despite following all the expert advice online? Well, you're not alone. In fact, some of those golden tips you've been religiously following might be the very things holding you back. So today, we're busting open 7 pieces of popular business advice that sound smart but could be secretly sabotaging your success. I'll reveal why the customer is always right can lead to a failing business, how follow your passion might leave you broke, and why grow at all costs could cost you everything. And by the end of this video, I guarantee that you'll be rethinking everything you thought you knew about entrepreneurship. And more importantly, you'll learn what to do instead. Now, the first horrible piece of advice out there that's holding you back is to follow your passion. And the problem with this advice is that what you're passionate about isn't necessarily the most profitable niche to pursue. Plus, I can almost guarantee you that once you start monetizing your passion, you'll start to hate it. Back when my wife and I first started our wedding handkerchief business, my wife was passionate about custom embroidery, and she used to monogram everything we owned from pillowcases to blankets to t-shirts. But then one day, I had the bright idea of offering custom personalization on all of our products. And my wife loved embroidery, so why not make money at the same time? But what ended up happening is that as soon as we started charging money for her hobby, my wife started to hate it. Now, there's a huge difference between doing something for fun versus doing it for money, and my wife quickly burned herself out. And guess who was forced to take over all the sewing? Me. Every day, after putting in a good 10 hours per day from my engineering day job, I would embroider for 2 hours straight before going to bed, and it sucked. So instead of pursuing your passion, I recommend pursuing your knowledge. What are you good at? What subject are you an expert at? By focusing on your strengths and areas of expertise, you can leverage your skills to create value in the marketplace. Now, this approach not only increases your chances of success, but also allows you to build a business on a solid foundation of competence and experience. And most importantly, you won't be mentally attached to the product itself. Now, the next horrible piece of advice that I've heard online is that you always have to be closing. And following this advice is actually what held my business back in the very beginning. When I first launched Bumblebee Linens, I focused all of my efforts on acquiring new customers that I completely forgot about the easiest way to make money: selling to people who have already bought. Now, did you know that the probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70%, while the probability of selling to a brand new prospect is only 5 to 20%? Also, did you know that it costs up to 7x more to acquire a new customer than to retain an old one? Well, people who have purchased from you already know, like, and trust your store. So why spend all of your energy trying to close new customers? In fact, you should spend as much time getting existing customers to buy again as you do acquiring new ones. Here are the ways that I get repeat business today that have allowed my online store to make 7 figures per year almost on autopilot. So first off, I have an automated email flow that programmatically emails someone a coupon if they purchased before but haven't purchased in 60 days. And here's what the email says. Hey, it's been a while and we've gotten many new products since you last visited. Here's a coupon code, come on back. The other way that we get repeat business is by simply cross-selling our existing customers. For example, we sell matching cocktail napkins, dinner napkins, and tea napkins in our shop. If a customer purchases cocktail napkins from us, but they don't buy dinner napkins, we automatically send out an email that encourages them to buy the matching set. All these flows are set it and forget it, and they make us money on autopilot. Now, the final and most important way we get repeat business today is by simply picking up the phone and calling up our biggest customers. Every now and then, we have a customer who buys an abnormally large number of handkerchiefs. And for these customers, we just pick up the phone and call them, and here's what we say. Hey, I noticed that you purchased a bunch of linens today. Are you by chance an event planner or a wedding planner? And if so, here's a custom coupon code and a dedicated rep who will handle all of your orders personally. This one simple phone call pretty much guarantees repeat business from customers who buy in quantity. So with these 3 strategies, we generate over 1/3 of our yearly revenue from repeat customers. So stop closing and start re-engaging. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day e-commerce mini course below. The next horrible piece of advice that I see online is to try everything and to see what sticks. For example, if you're running Facebook ads, start running Google ads and Pinterest ads. If you already have a blog, start a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel. Now, the problem with this advice is that it greatly dilutes your efforts. When you try to do too many things at once, you end up doing nothing well. So stop chasing every new marketing strategy. Instead, figure out what's already working in your business and just do more of it. It's that simple. When we first launched our online store, Google ads were working well for us. So instead of saying to ourselves, Google ads are working great, let's try Facebook ads too, we decided to double down on our Google ad spend and optimized all of our campaigns. Similarly, blogging was working really well to drive traffic to our store, so we decided to pump out more blog posts as opposed to starting a YouTube channel. And here's the thing about running an online store. All it takes is one solid acquisition channel to hit 6 or 7 figures in sales, and you just need to find that one channel. Avoid shiny object syndrome. Now, the next horrible piece of advice that I've seen people give online is to focus on revenue and worry about making a profit later. Now, for a venture-backed company looking to get $1 billion valuation, this is actually great advice. But for a small business owner who just wants to make a great living and achieve financial freedom, this is the worst possible advice to follow. To manage your finances for a small business, I highly recommend checking out Mike Michalowicz's book called Profit First. Profit First is a cash management philosophy that prioritizes profitability. And instead of following the traditional equation of sales minus expenses equals profit, Profit First rearranges it to sales minus profit equals expenses. Basically, you take profit out of your business first to make sure you get paid, and then whatever is left over is used to pay for your expenses. By paying yourself first, it enforces fiscal discipline and encourages you to operate within your means for sustainable growth. After all, most small business owners aren't trying to start the next Google, Facebook, or Amazon. Most of you just want to make a couple $1 million per year, and the go big or go home mentality will just cause you to go bankrupt. Which leads me to the next horrible piece of advice that I continue to see given online, and that's to stick with what you know. Now I get it. Sticking with what you know got you to the point where you are now, but if you just stick with what you know, you're never going to grow. Sure, it feels safe to focus on what's familiar, but keeping an open mind and going outside of your comfort zone will often yield outsized results. We just happen to be living in a golden age right now where artificial intelligence is multiplying our productivity. The other day, I was having a conversation with my mom, and she was complaining about how she had to finish writing her scientific paper, but writer's block kept her from getting started. Now, most of you don't know my mom, but she's a brilliant woman who discovered a cure for a rare disease called glycogen storage disease. And even though she's a genius, she's somewhat set in her ways and hates technology. I'm too old to learn new things, she would always tell me. But then I showed her ChatGPT, and just for fun, I had ChatGPT write an essay about her disease and showed it to her. Then I asked ChatGPT who was the foremost expert on the disease from NIH, and my mom's name showed up. She was flabbergasted. I'm not sure if she's using ChatGPT consistently yet, but the seed has been planted and she never has to stare at a blank screen ever again. Meanwhile, with our store, here's how I'm leveraging AI to be more productive. The first thing that I'm using it for is to write product descriptions. All I have to do is upload a product photo and tell ChatGPT, write a product title and a 3-sentence product description, and AI looks at the photo and does the rest. Putting up product listings this way has saved me a ton of time. AI has also replaced the need to hire human models. Thanks to tools like Midjourney and WeShop.ai, you can literally have AI generate models using your products or wearing your apparel. Every week, I recommend that you spend at least 10% of your time exploring what's new. Things are changing so fast that you'll be left behind if you simply stick with what you know. The next horrible piece of advice that I see all over YouTube is to find someone successful online and simply copy their strategies to be successful. Now, on the surface, this seems like great advice. After all, if a strategy is working for another company, why not copy it? Well, the main reason is because no two businesses are exactly alike, and you could be wasting your time trying to replicate someone else's strategy verbatim. Not too long ago, post-pandemic, I gave a talk at my e-commerce conference, the Seller Summit, where I told everyone that I raised prices for all of our products 30% across the board, which resulted in a big increase in profit. Now, someone who watched my speech decided to do the same thing with his own store, and his sales ended up tanking. So why did his sales tank while mine increased? Well, the main reason is because I sell to the wedding industry, where consumers tend to be price insensitive. Whether a handkerchief is $18 or $25 is not going to be a huge deal for a bride who's going to drop $50K on her wedding. However, a 30% increase for a commodity product like a t-shirt might be a huge ask. All this to say that you shouldn't blindly follow the strategies of anyone you see online. There's always more to the story. Which leads me to the final piece of horrible advice that you should never listen to, and that's to just stick with the plan. I can't tell you how many people have come to me over the years asking for help because their online store is not generating any sales. And just the other day, I had a one-on-one consult with a very nice woman whose online store sales have been stagnant for the past 2 years. She told me that she'd been posting religiously on social media and writing blog posts twice per week, and then she just asked me point blank, should I press on? I know generating traffic just takes some time. And here's what I told her. You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect to see different results. If it's been 2 years and you're not seeing any traction, it's time to switch things up. What types of posts are you making on social media? What blog posts are you writing? Anyway, after our one-on-one call, I laid out a completely different strategy for her to try, which I'll tell you about right now so you can avoid the same mistake that she made. Her biggest problem was that all of her posts on both social media and her blog were product focused and came across like a sales pitch. This is 100% the wrong way to post content online. Instead of talking about your products, you must create content that attracts the type of people who might potentially buy from your store. Try to make your customer laugh or teach them something new, entertain them. And here's a good rule of thumb for posting online. For every 9 pieces of entertaining or informative content you put out, you can post 1 piece that is product focused. Now that you know how to avoid all these horrible pieces of advice, make sure you watch this video here to learn how to start a business the right way.